So, welcome back. So, this is the last module for the third week. So, we have been looking at the different ways of extracting precious metals from electronics. So, if you remember from the beginning, we talked about what is an e-waste, we gave the definition. So, in terms of e-waste, the definition we looked at the US definition, the North American definition, European Union definition and all that. So, and then we also talked about the health effect, what are the different contaminants there, what are their health effect. We looked at little bit some of those contaminants in slightly more detail as well. And being done that, then we started looking at how things could be managed properly, what is the and in terms of management, recycling is of course one of the major stuff in terms of e-waste. That is the most favored option in terms of managing. And when we try to recycle, one of the goal is to recycle this precious metal, because one of the major reason why even this course you are taking this course is because of potential environmental impact from these rare earth and heavy metals and certain organics. And in terms of the rare earth and the heavy metals, most of them are costly. So, we want to recover these metals so that it becomes a profitable business in terms of electronic waste management. So, we looked at some of the methods of how to do the recovery. We started with how to get it from e-waste to the liquid phase, and from the liquid phase finally to the solid phase in the pure form. The concepts are very similar to what typically you will do in a mining and metallurgy for iron ore, for gold, copper, silver and others which are there present in electronics. So, we had looked at variety of technologies. So, the last if you remember from the last few minutes in the last video, we were talking about a hybrid technology. So, let us start from there, which is essentially a combination of both biological as well as the chemical. We looked if you remember in the previous video, we talked about that bioleaching, biosorption, and then we also talked about certain chemical methods in before that. So, hybrid is kind of mixture of the two. So, let us start from there. So, hybrid, it's a we do use hybrid technology using this. There have been like a zinc, cadmium, lead, copper. These had been shown that using EDTA and certain bacteria, which is a ferro-oxidant bacteria, can be used with a certain bacterial strain, and things could be recovered. So, here we are using both. We are using EDTA, which is a chemical, and we are using a group of bacteria. So, to make the job for us. And so, in terms of how it will typically work, so you will have in terms you have the mixture of metals, you have the microorganisms, ligand, metal association. So, things will like if you think about in here. So, you have this mixture of metals. So, metal has been isolated. So, you have you have certain reactions going on with the microorganisms, then you have mixture. So, this plus mixture of metal. So, we have some bacteria and other stuff in terms of the mixture of metals. Then we will have some metals still left, but whatever the targeted metal, we can have it isolated. So, and then we can repeat the process again for the next metal and for the next metal. So, this is how typically it can be done. So, and for that we can use different types of bacteria, different strains of bacteria, which can do better for which metal. So, say if you think about the mother nature, all has lots of solution already inbuilt for us. So, these bacteria are naturally found bacteria. So, we have to just identify them, strain them, and then try to get them to do the job for us. So, it's a solution is there, we have to only look for the solution, and then we can target different metals and recover those. So, this is typically how you can do it in terms of flow chart for that hybrid technology. So, in terms of recycling, it's not only from the it's an important subject, but only from the point waste treatment, but also from recovery of valuable material, as I was trying to say. The value distribution from different electronic samples shows that from cell phones, calculators, printed circuit boards, the precious metal make up more than 70% of the value. So, in terms of cell phone, calculators and printed circuit scraps, the precious metal that is there, it makes up more than 70% of the value which is there in terms of the amount of precious metal present. So that's a lot in term, and then that should be recovered, and but only many times it's just a lack of technology. And so traditional technology, pyrometallurgy has indicated some challenges when you're trying to use pyrometallurgy with the waste that is produced is a problem. Thermal processing of e-waste does recovery of energy, but mostly it will what will burn is your plastic. But you need to have a comprehensive emission control as well, because plastic when it burns has a lot of air pollution issues. Leaching of gold by thiourea was found to be most it has been as per present research. See, these are all based on present research. Things may change, because if you some of you can come up with a better mechanism of these extraction, of course that will be incorporated in the literature and things would change. But as of present condition, thiourea was kind of considered to be a good option there. Biotechnology has been one of the most promising technology in the metallurgical, like a bioleaching, biosorption, number of advantages, low operating cost, minimization volume of chemical, biological sludge needs to be handled. So, and then the scope of hybrid technologies is still being studied. So, those are what we have looked at in last video and slightly in this video as well. So, being said that, we will talk, so we kind of covered about the extraction part. Now, we will talk about a little bit on in terms of the hazardous waste management rule and then the e-waste management rule 2016, where the management and the transboundary movement. So, in terms of the hazardous waste which is started on October 2016, we will also look at, we will quickly look at this, and then we will talk about e-waste in e-waste rule potentially in the next slide, next video. So, it came into force in 1st of October 2016. It's every manufacturer, producers, bulk consumer, collector, dealer, e-retailer, fabricator. So, they are they have to do it, processing of e-waste, electrical equipment. So, this is it has to be used. So, it's in terms of electronic waste management. Exception is that wastewater and exhaust covered under provisions of Water Act or the Air Act. So, waste arising out of operation from SEPs and other stuff is there not included. Radioactive waste is not included. Biomedical waste covered under municipal solid waste rules is also not included. So, these are because they are handled separately. So, the objective of the rule in terms of the electronic waste. So, what we were kind of talked about the e-waste, quick overview of hazardous waste, because there is a hazardous waste management rule. There is a separate e-waste management rule. In terms of the e-waste management, the goal is to minimize the illegal recycling and to promote safe recovery operation by channelizing e-waste to registered e-waste recyclers. We have the extended producer responsibility to manage the e-waste. Again, that's many times it's difficult to implement because it's in terms of extended responsibility to manage the system of e-waste collection. So, first we need to have e-waste registered e-waste recyclers. There is a list out there, and there is also, but many of those are not in like a 100% operating conditions. And then for every city or every city, we need to have some sort of place where the producers have come up with the waste collection or the take back approach, or so we don't have those informations yet. So, in terms of e-waste management rule, as also even for MSW management rules, just very recently, if you remember a couple of weeks back, again the Supreme Court had a directive asking the center that why it is not being implemented, why the MSW rules are not being implemented as it should be, although the rule has been passed more than 2 years ago. The reason for that, for these many of these, and the initial rule was passed in 2001. The 2016 is it's a revised version of that. So, but it's still to implement it, the infrastructure needs to be developed. Same thing with electronics. Here also we are talking about extended responsibility. What is the extended responsibility? That means the producer is responsible for the electronic waste disposal and management. So, it's a Nokia, Sony, LG, whoever is the producers, they are responsible. But what is happening is, if you have these individual companies do all these things by themselves, there is a lot of duplication and the volume also goes down. The economy of a scale probably may not work in many smaller cities. may work in Delhi, Bombay and all those metro and semi-metro places, but in the smaller cities like where I am sitting right now in Kharagpur, it may not work. So, why not we need to have some sort of collaboration between all these industries, and that collaboration has to be facilitated in my view through some sort of government intervention. If you look at because when there is a government intervention, the chances of person listening is more. I am not saying government should get into it, because always when we try to have too much of a government, it becomes a problem in terms of efficiency, in terms of corruption and all that. So, to avoid that, we do not want to go that route, but at least have some sort of facilitator role that one government office has to provide in terms of bringing all these industries together to set up a system in place, so that we can really do this extended producer responsibility. Otherwise, it will just be on the paper, we will not be able to do that. So, but that is where we need to have the recyclers, we need to have the registered collectors, and if you have a take back program, how that is going to happen, all these things has to come. And another objective is to reduce the hazardous substance in electronic components, regulate the generation, collection, storage, transport. So, some of these part is very similar to what you have seen in the hazardous waste management rule as well, if you have had a chance to look at it. All these rules are available online. It's you can go on Google and just say e-waste management rules India, you will get the PDF. Hazardous waste management rules India, get the PDF. So, all these plastic waste, medical waste like biomedical waste, municipal solid waste, all these rules are available in public domain, and if you are interested in the waste management sector, since you are taking this course, I assume that you do, I would strongly encourage you to download those rules and then look at them. Many times the rules are not very interesting to read, they are like boring, but we need to know them. We have no other option, because we have to know them, at least the big picture of the rules, so that we can make sure that things does get implemented as per the rules of the land. So, that is important. There are 6 chapters in this rule, 8 schedules, 11 forms. Again, we will not go into nitty-gritty detail, because as I said, it does get boring, but we will just do a quick review of what the rule is all about. And there is a procedure for authorization of producers, dismantler, collection agencies and recyclers. So, if you have to get the authorization, you have to take the license for these purposes, and you have to register, you have to renewal of registration of recyclers. So, the producer is responsible for the entire life cycle of its own branded product. That is where I agree with that idea, that is a great idea. But in terms of implementation of this idea, it is a little bit of that is what I was trying to explain to you, that somehow the government has to come together and facilitate. One example I would like to give, in many countries, in other provinces, in Ontario they have a Ontario Stewardship Program, Ontario E-Waste Stewardship Program for example, where they charge certain amount of money for every electronic sold by the producers, and of course, that money gets transferred to the consumer. Because somehow it will, but anyway, so it's you have a pool of money, because you know how much TV of Sony is being sold, how much TV of Panasonic is being sold, or LG or whatever different companies are out there. So, based on that, we can get the pool of money. There is it's a semi-government body which oversees the whole process, and then they can set up the collection events, the recycling, irrespective of the brand. Because if every brand has to say, if they have to rather than they do the entire life cycle of its own brand, if all the different brands come together, if the different brands come together and do it together, it is much better. But how they will come together, how they will do it together, for that they need advice, guidance and also oversight by certain government body. And then it becomes economy of scale too. Otherwise, think about place like Kharagpur, where we are right now, how many TVs of Sony will go bad in a day or in a month? Maybe few for the whole town. And then if Sony has set up a place where they are collecting these material, they have to put an employee there. The employee has to get a salary, and they have to find a place. They may have to put a rent for that. So, things may not be that much profitable for it. In that case, what the company will do? The company will try to find a shortcut. They will try to see if he can not do it and still survive somehow, either a hook or a crook or a bribe or whatever. So, to avoid that, it is better to bring all these different electronic manufacturers together and set one facility where you have and depending on this, like if you in a big cities, there could be multiple facilities, but in smaller cities at least one facility, so that people can go and drop off their old electronics, so that it's not becomes a problem in terms of the environmental impact. There are certain liabilities has been given in terms of the producers, collection agencies, transporters, dismantlers and recyclers. So those are everybody has certain liabilities, certain rules, certain responsibilities. Reduction of hazardous substance, removal of anything which is like a mercury, lead, other things, we need to kind of get rid of them from time to time. And so in terms of responsibilities, there is a responsibility of occupier for the management of hazardous and other waste, like including it's a prevention, minimization, reuse, recycling, recovery, safe disposal. So in terms of e-waste responsibility of the producers, again we will not read all that. You have to make sure that you can read that. This PDF will be provided to you. These have been taken from the rules directly. So you can read the rule as well. So it's the same thing, just we have taken a summary of the important point of the rules. So the collection of e-waste is generated during the manufacturing, and collection and generalization has to be by authorized collection agencies. So first of all, we need to make sure the authorized collection agencies exist. Setting up the collection centers and financing and organizing. So providing contact details, creating awareness, affixing a visible legible sample on the product to prevent e-waste from being dropped in the garbage. So like something on the what you see on the right hand side. So those kind of label could be done. For now, for the producer, say if some electronic producer has to look at the collection of e-waste, setting up a collection center, financing and organizing, providing contact detail, creating awareness and affixing a visible. So some of these they can do, but for some of these in my view they need help, because we can just not, because that's not their expertise. These companies are good in producing electronics, they are not good in managing electronic waste. Whatever, say unfortunately we don't have, we can say that in India we have no, probably not many places we have the expertise for managing waste, may be true, but at least the ULBs are doing it, whatever with all the challenges and limitations that they have. They do, most of the ULBs have the intention at least to manage their waste properly, because since there are a lot of drawbacks, there are a lot of bottlenecks which they have to deal with on day-to-day basis. It's many times from outside you don't get that picture. When you talk to them, when you listen to them, when you go and spend a day with them, you will realize that what challenges they face, why our waste is not being managed as good as we would like to, because there are a lot of physical challenges as well. There is infrastructure challenges. I sincerely hope that as part of all these Swachh Bharat mission and all, we will have a lot of infrastructure build up, capacity build up, physical infrastructure as well as the intellectual capacity. Intellectual capacity is also needed. Most of the ULBs, they don't have people who really understand the waste management as what it should be as of today's context. The people are not trained in this area. In fact, to make this Swachh Bharat mission really a success, what we need is a lot of training center. When I am talking about training center, the real ones, not just having a one-day event. Most of this training, first morning half, like half of the morning will just go in having that inauguration and that all that flower exchange. Those are not needed as such. Just a little bit of that will be enough. And then that validatory session, why we need that? Many times I don't really understand. Just focus on the issue. We do a lot of extra things which is not needed, and then mostly the focus is, and what is the food? Who is the caterer? So those are important. I can have good food at home, but let's focus on how to manage the e-waste. Let's talk about that. You might be, it may be, let's say, out of context, but I personally had some experiences where I have gone for giving the training program, where initially I was told that it's actually a 6 hours training program. So I had the material made for 6 hours, but when I reached there, I realized that, oh, the first 1.5 hours will be just used for that inauguration function where all these big people will come and give a speech. Maybe I don't even understand why that is needed, and then they don't stay, they just go because they are so busy, these people, they cannot stay and listen to this e-waste management issues. So why they come even for the inauguration function? Why do we need them? Do we really need them? I need the people who will really work on the field. I just want those people to listen to me who will do the day in and day out work on electronics or municipal solid waste, because they are important to me. These high-fi VIPs are okay, they can come just maybe a little bit 10-minute function, that's it, and have cup of tea and they can leave and then focus on, because out of that 6 hours, I got only 3.5 hours to do it, because they had a validatory function also at the end, which took another gift exchange, thanking each person to another person. Sometimes I don't get all those clue, but we need to change those. Those things doesn't happen outside India. It's maybe in some other similar countries, but most of the Western world and other places, they don't waste those hours doing those just a formality. I don't really. Those things are not really needed. What is needed is the real training program, where the focus is on training, not on these other accessories associated with the training. So coming back to our e-waste management rules, so there are in terms of there is a responsibility, the producers are given certain responsibilities. Of course, the rules are there, we need to follow the rules. Rules will have certain shortcomings. And in my solid waste course, those of you who have taken maybe probably in the previous semester, we talk about MSW management rules shortcomings too. So it is there, and it's but as we learn, we'll improve it, isn't it? It's not that we should not, as we learn from the rules, we'll keep on improving the rule, because we'll find out that this thing is working, this thing is not working. So these are always, these things are dynamic, these are work in progress kind of stuff. So it's don't take me wrong. It's not. I'm not saying that the rules are not. What I'm trying to say is that certain things in the rules, as of present conditions, may not be implemented. What we need to do is we need to develop the infrastructure, physical infrastructure, capacity infrastructure, intellectual infrastructure to support, so that we can really implement these rules. And that's true for all the waste management rules, municipal solid waste, e-waste, and other rules as well. So then for the other they have to obtain authorization, then they have to manage the maintain the record, fill annual return. So these things are very common for all the rules. I will not you can read about that. There is a form, different forms are there. Then for the collection centers, again they have to obtain authorization, they have to look at the storage secured manner, they have to collect the e-waste in a secured manner, no damage is caused to the environment during storage and transport. There will be again, some of the language is also very scary. No damage is caused to the environment. Sometimes we don't have things on our control. So thing is that if the damage does happen, we have to manage that incident properly. We have to have a proper management of certain spill and other things that is happening over there. Then file annual return, maintain record, responsibility of bulk consumer is also, bulk consumer is like a big companies and other places, those are bulk consumers. And then dismantlers. So you can read about all these records, so nothing much in there. It's a pretty much a straightforward reading. It's a, then you have the do not have any, again no adverse impact. So all these, again, why these rules are there, to prevent the human health impact and the environmental impact. And so just to have, since there are different stakeholders, each stakeholder has to do certain things. So those things have been explained in this particular sets of some slides which is there. And the same thing is there in the rule as well. So it has just been taken from the rule, just like a small summary of the e-waste management rule is presented on this slide. I encourage you to read these material, and there is it's all, you can understand it, whatever the important point I'm trying to cover over here. Read it. If you have any question, put it on the discussion forum. This is, again, this would be a very good, I will be really happy if on we can have a really good discussion forum going on this e-waste management rules. What are the good thing about it? What are the shortcomings? How the shortcomings can be overcome? See, right, we have around more than I think more than 4,500 students on this course, something around that number. And if there's 4,500 brains working on this particular topic, we may come up with some solution here which could be much better than the other like a solution which is there in the rules right now, and that may help us to improve the rule. So use your look at the rule, critique the rule, and do it on the, put it on the discussion forum. See, the honest critique is always good. We are not criticizing any person here. We are just criticizing it. We were looking at the rule and we are looking at from a different angle. Fresh ideas may come. So please do that as part of the discussion forum. It will really be interesting. And we'll try if we can put a questionnaire to help you with that, so that we can, as an additional assignment, a questionnaire will be sent on so that you can use it to make this stuff. So we'll try to get that questionnaire out, so to help you with that. So then we have responsibility of the recyclers. SPCB, CPCB's responsibility has been given, where they have to, basically they have to collect all the information from different stuff. They have to make sure the things are in compliance. Then Central Pollution Control Board, similar to SPCB, where they have to coordinate this preparation of guideline, documentation, recommendation, training and awareness program, submit annual report. So those are kind of some of the examples. In terms of the management in India, very quick, if we can look at, there are a lot of companies out there, and these are all self-explanatory. I will just walk through this very quickly. E-Parishara, one of the oldest company, is being used in Bangalore, which is working on e-waste. You can Google and you will find all these companies. EarthSense is the another company which is working on the e-waste area. Just wanted to list few of them. I'm not saying these are the only ones, and I'm not advocating any particular company. So see, I'm an academic person. I have no interest with any of these particular company. Just so don't if you see certain company, it's not that IIT Kharagpur is advertising for it. No. It is just to give you an idea that what are the there are lots of companies already set up in India, in different parts of the India, who are trying to work on e-waste management. So there are again, they look at collection, transport, segregation, dismantle and recycle. And this EarthSense, which is in Chennai, headquarter local unit is in Andhra Pradesh and Maharashtra, and they have some more being collection centers in Trivandrum, Coimbatore. So there are some people already working on there. Then SIMS Recycling Solutions. Atero, which is very famous in the northern part of India. I think they have in Roorkee and those areas. Atero Recycling is complete e-waste management, and these phrases have been taken from their website. So you have to take it with a pinch of salt. So it's but it's again, Atero's they can collect from the home. They try to recycle it in as environmental friendly as possible. So they do mobile phone recycling, display unit recycling, CRT recycling and all that, manganese and ferrous removal, battery recycling, printed circuit board recycling, IT goods recycling. So they use all those methods that we talked about earlier in terms of different leaching and other stuff. So they are in Uttarakhand, and they have collection centers in different places. Then you have another company. It's you have like what it's called. They have this based in Bangalore, another e-waste recycle company out there. We Recycle, another one with different collection centers in. You have Green Escape, that's another one which is working on this area. JS Pigment, which is in Kolkata, West Bengal, Odisha, Assam and Madhya Pradesh. In this area they are working. So all these in this particular company, JS Pigment, they are working on zinc, brass, copper, lead, etc., recovery of metals, typical magnetic, zinc float, hand sorting, all those things that we talked about. So their headquarters in Kolkata, collection center is Bengal, Odisha, Assam, Madhya Pradesh, so different places they have. Then High Tech Recycling India Private Limited, similar stuff. They have a removal of copper, removal of cable assembly, rear panel. So most of these you have. I don't know of anyone. I don't think any one of these goes all the way to gold recycling and precious metal recycling. So Earth E-Waste Private Limited. Again, sorting, identify, dismantling, segregation, treatment, disposal. It's in Gujarat. So so these are some of the companies just wanted to show you, and then we'll look at a case study of Bangalore, India, which from this we'll start the next week, where how the waste is being managed. So this is one example of Bangalore. The case study has been done. This was a study was done in Bangalore just a few almost now 9 years ago. And we'll talk about that in the next video. So we'll start from here. So far again, those companies that are listed, it is just for your information process, no advocacy of any company here. Just wanted to let you know that there are so many companies working in e-waste factor, and this is not the complete list. There is EcoReco, I think I was not captured here. EcoReco Mumbai, another big one working there. So essentially what I'm say we looked at the different metallurgical process, extraction process, then we talked about rules very briefly. Rules, you should be able to find it in Google. We'll upload it as a reading material as well for you. So it should be there, and then we will have a questionnaire, an additional questionnaire, just to get your feedback on the rule. So with that, I think let's close this video. And so 75% of the course is over. Next 25% will be the 4th week, and I look forward to seeing you in 4th week, and hope you're enjoying the course. Any questions, concern, contact us through the discussion forum. Thank you.